Back in April of this year, a small female mountain lion cub was rescued by the Arizona Game and Fish Department. She'd been trapped in a tree, chased up there by a pack of dogs on the Tono O'odham Reservation in Sells, Arizona. Her sibling wasn't so lucky and was killed by the tribe's dogs at the bottom of that same tree. Luckily for the mountain lion cub that survived, local tribe members called AZ Game and Fish to the scene.
I was primary care for her, so I was in charge of making sure she ate, seeing how much she ate, making sure she was getting weight, any medical examinations that she had to go through.
I had a little bit of to deal with her afterwards. After she'd been there a day or two, I went and assessed to see how she was doing, to see kind of her demeanor, her attitude, see how stressed she was, talked to Tegan about how she was eating and that sort of thing. We don't often have opportunities to place young lions like this.
Cougars are normally with their mom for a year and then they are off on their own. So it's very typical that if they come in as juveniles that we end up having to place them somewhere.
Now, almost 8 months since her initial rescue, Cronkite News wanted to know what exactly happened to that little mountain lion cub. Today, the cub has a new name and a new home. Libby, as she is now called, lives in her own spacious enclosure at the Out of Africa Wildlife Park in Camp Verde, Arizona.
Libby arrived on April 30th. A 5 or 6 month old female mountain lion should weigh around 25 pounds. But at 13 pounds, that means that she was very much dehydrated. So Libby had already had one trauma, and then she came across some dogs which killed her sibling, which gave her a second trauma. And then she was brought into captivity, which gave her a third trauma. Then she was moved here, which essentially gave her a fourth trauma. And so we're working at a disadvantage with 4 traumas in a very young, tender life. And at this point, she's about 11 months old, so she's still a cub.
After multiple traumas in her young life, Libby is not very trusting of anyone. The question now is, will Libby ever warm up to her caretakers at Out of Africa? To see how other mountain lions were handling captivity, we turned to the Southwest Wildlife Conservation Center in Scottsdale for answers. Their facility houses multiple grown mountain lions, each with different personalities and backgrounds. Tocho, their most outgoing mountain lion, is a complete 180 from Libby.
Tocho, he came to us when he was a cub and somebody had shot and killed his mom. Because he was a pet, doesn't mean that he's tame or domesticated. You know, he doesn't want to walk on a leash. We don't go in with him and play with him. He's still a wild animal, but he's lost that fear and that kind of healthy respect of humans. Giselle, my favorite mountain lion, she's our petite little girl that lives with Ash, and same story, you know, it sounds like a broken record. She was somebody's pet, was fed the wrong diet, came to us kind of stunted and really ill, had a lot of hands-on care, and because of that, you know, she's very used to people. And again, we don't go in with our mountain lions, but she'll come right up to the fence. We feed her with tongs. You can hear her purring. And Ash was a mountain lion that came to us a few years ago, and his mother had been shot and killed. So he was a wild mountain lion cub, hadn't been a pet, and there was such a stark difference.
Even though Libby still has a long way to go, with the right kind of care at Out of Africa, she just might turn out as friendly as Tocho and Giselle. In Camp Verde, Kristiana Faddoul, Cronkite News.